In this session we're going to have a look at writing functions. Functions are a way that we can actually take a group of code and put them together, and then we can call them over and over again. Now, to do this, what we might actually do is start by creating a random number. So what we want to do, we just want to trace out to the screen a random number. So I might actually do it the proper way, and I'm going to declare some variables. So we'll bring back in our structure, and I put a line in for variables, and I can go var, and it's going to be a number at the end, so I'll put n, and then we need random number, and we need to declare its type. It's going to be a number, and then we need to create the random number, so this will be part of our processing. So once again, for processing, and we're going to say n random number is going to be equal to, and we're going to use our functions now. So we're going to use our maths dot round, and then we're going to use our maths dot random, and then we need to times it by the random number we're going to want, so it'll be 6. So we should get random numbers between 1 and 6. Once we've got that, we need to output this, and we need to display this. So in our output, we'll just use a trace at the moment, and we'll output our n random number. Now, if all was working correctly, we should get a random number appear in our output window, which we do. If I keep running the program, you notice they go between 1 and 6. We've actually got a 0 appear as well, so probably need to use ceiling to make sure that it rounds up all the time. So rather than round down, we'll seal that. We'll just test that once more by closing our program down. So as we run it now, we should only get numbers between 1 and 6, which we do now. So that produces our random number. But if I had a program that was always producing random numbers, then I could actually use this over and over again, so rather than having this line of code all the time. So to do that, we can actually put it inside a function. So I'm just going to press enter in here, and we're going to declare a function by, first of all, by typing in the word function. Now functions enable us to block it together, so we need to give it a name so we can call it. So I'm going to call it f random number. Now it's a little bit different because I've got n random number and f random number. Because one's n and one's f, they're completely different variables. If I had the function as n random number, it will confuse the program. You will get an error because it won't know if you're talking to the variable or if you're trying to call the function. Now the function is function f random number, and we open and close a bracket because we can actually pass information in here, and then we need to open up a left hand brace, which is the curly bracket. And at the end of our function, we then close that off. So we can now check our formatting. There's no errors. We can make sure the formatting's correct. That looks a lot better now. But when we run our program this time, you notice that we have no output at all. That's because the function hasn't been called. This is now blocked together as one big block. It will sit in our code and will do nothing unless we call it. So it's a good idea to have your functions at the top, and then at the bottom we can actually call the function. To do that, we call it by its name with the brackets. So I'm just going to copy this down to the bottom, f random number with a semicolon on the end. So when the program runs and gets compiled, it will compile it from the top down, and when it hits f random number bracket bracket, it knows to call this function, and then we'll execute our program again. So we should now see a random number generated on screen, which we do. It's a 6, and we can keep doing so because every time we run the program, it will generate the random number for us. If I want 2 random numbers on the screen, all I need to do then is call that random number program once more. So it calls it a first time, and then it will call it a second time. So when I run it, you'll notice we get 2 numbers. So rather than having duplicate code all through our program, if you've got a task that needs to be performed more than once, we can actually write a function for this to happen.